Welcome back to That's a Wrap, the channel where I review TV shows, movies, and movie trailers. Today's movie that I will be reviewing is the animated movie Justice League Crisis of 2-Earth. But before I get into my review of this movie, if you are enjoying the content, please subscribe to the channel and smash that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're not familiar with the Justice League Crisis of 2-Earth, consider this your spoiler warning. Now, let's get on to the review. For those that are not familiar the way I do my reviews, I break it up into 3 parts: the good, the bad, and the ugly. So without any further ado, let's get on with this review. The good of this movie, I thought the animation in this was not a lot of flaws. Yes, nothing's perfect, but for an animated movie, I thought the attention to detail in especially the fight scenes, the cutaway scenes, where you had more than one character, in action, one closer to the, I'm gonna call it camera, even though it's not. When you had a character closer than the other, the attention to detail was great. Not a lot of animation movies put that kind of attention to detail in these movies or in their drawings, but this movie definitely does. And it looks like they took pride in the animation, where there wasn't too much where it took me off or said, wow, like that was really badly drawn, or this was done really badly. So kudos to the animation team. Another thing that I found good in this movie was the concept. I enjoyed the concept, the vision that they had. I thought it was very unique. It was something that you don't see a lot. I mean, back then when the movie came out, you're starting to see a lot more of these types of ideas being done in Hollywood, whether it be in other animation properties or in even live action movies. It seems to be a topic that is really, really hot in Hollywood right now. So I definitely enjoyed the concept of what this movie was trying to tell us and portray. So let's get on to the bad. The bad that I thought about this movie was the story. Yes, you're probably saying, wait, you said the concept was good. The concept was absolutely good. The execution was bad. The writing for this movie was bad. I thought whoever wrote the script wrote this so basic, no continuity. It went all over the place. If you ask me honestly, I just thought the story didn't flow. For most of the times, if I'm watching a movie and I don't watch the clock, I don't see what time it is or anything like that, I consider that a successful movie as far as grabbing my attention. Now, if I sit there and watch my phone or what time it is, have to rewind it to see what the heck they were talking about and how, why I missed something, then your story is not cohesive and you just kind of did it for the sake to getting to the end, which this movie seems like. A lot of the stuff that they wrote for these things, whether it was why a character was doing this or why a character was doing that, it wasn't fully fleshed out that way. And maybe it is because it's an animation, but just because it's an animated movie, it doesn't give it an excuse. It's a feature-length movie, about an hour and 15 minutes. There was way more than enough time to be able to flesh out the story a little bit more than how they did it. They seemed almost more concerned as hey, look, there's 2 of everything in this world, and letting that be the sticking point. And I get that obviously with the Crisis of 2-Earth's title of this movie, but it seemed like they kind of just, hey, look at this, you got 2 of everything, and they wanted you to focus on that. With that being said, it takes me right into my second point of the bad. The story lagged. There were so many parts where you're like, oh my God, this is so boring. They could have cut this off and added more depth more grounding us in some of these characters as to why it was so important, or fleshing out a little bit more of the side characters to add that extra gravitas that grabs us and makes us more invested in the characters, in the movie, and the outcome. Honestly, I thought I was just watching a cartoon, and some of the scenes were like just going on too long, and I was like, wow, they could have gone such a different route. Another part that I found this, and it seems to be a trend every time I do an animated movie. Again, I'm not familiar with the way they recorded, but the voice acting was a miss. They were not working. Again, if they were working in the same studio and the actors were playing off of each other, I mean, shame to everyone that thought that, yeah, that was okay. The way they were delivering their lines, whether it was in a joyful state, in a mysterious state, a confused state, no matter what kind of state it was, most of the lines and most of the way they were presenting or acting out those lines to make us believe, I didn't believe none of them. I had to suspend not my frustration, because I wasn't frustrated, but I had to suspend the way they were acting to enjoy the movie. Because it is a great, like I said, the concept of it was good, was brilliant. I enjoyed that aspect of it, but the way the actors went, again, to go around to act their lines, even though, again, it's really hard to do animation, so I don't want to sound like I'm beating them too much for it. But given that it is a craft and being that it is their job, I thought maybe it was directing, maybe it was the script, maybe they recorded in different areas. You know, I've said it in multiple areas. If you record separately, if I'm recording here in Las Vegas, yet another actor is recording in London and another one is recording in Los Angeles, and then we send our audio to the editors, and they have to work with what I did by myself without any reactions, or maybe my cousin reading the lines, or my wife, or whatever, you know, someone else reading the lines, not the other actress that has an invested interest in the success of this movie. It's really difficult to grab that kind of action or feeling or emotion when you don't have those. But if they were in the same studio, in the same area, and could see the facial expressions, and there was an actual director there directing them, then shame on them for not being able to put a little bit more effort into this movie. I get that a lot of these animated movies are cash grabs because they know they have a fan base for them, and we're gonna watch them no matter what. And if that's the case, shame on the studio for allowing this kind of voice acting to be in the final product. I could stand a lot of stuff being in a final product. Hey, it's animation, it's voice acting, it's really, really difficult. And even in my critique right there, I feel like kind of a dick for being so hard on it. But sometimes I try to look at the best thing in those hard scenarios, but you know, saying, hey, you know what, let me cut them a break, because it is for no one that's ever done any voice acting, it's a lot easier to criticize if you've never done it before. But for those of you that have done it and know how difficult it is, understand that I take no pleasure in giving that critique lightly, because I do understand and I do know how hard it is to be able to portray emotions when sometimes just the location, the way it was recorded, is very different. Anyways, with that, let's move on to The Ugly. So the only have one thing about The Ugly was the casting of the voice actors. It was so horrible. I think I only enjoyed two of them. I think Wonder Woman was okay. I think Green Lantern, the good Green Lantern, the bad Green Lantern was annoying. The Flash was, it was such a complete miss. I didn't believe any of them to be that superhero. If anything, it made me think like, wow, if Superman sounded like that in every movie, how horrible would that have been? And he sounds so weak and he sounds so puny, and just the way, again, it just didn't fit. How anyone could sit here and say, okay, I want to know what Batman sounds like, and yeah, that's the way Batman sounds. In whatever form, whether it be the real Batman or the alternate universe Batman, I don't care. It was such a miss. You had very very few hits. And again, maybe this is because that's what the budget allowed. That's who, they want, the only ones that showed up to the casting. I don't know, but it didn't work. It wasn't believable. And again, I've said it once, I said it twice, I'll say it forever. In animation, in movies, if you don't hit it out of the park, if it's not 100% slam dunk, it throws you off. And I get it, when you're saying, hey, you don't know until you put it out there and people give you that feedback and you're like, hey, this is what we have. But when it comes to superheroes, the fact that they've been around for so long, the fact that there has been many actors that have played these characters for so long, what hits and what misses. When you have characters like, let's say, Olaf from Frozen, you can bring a different kind of a voice to that character because it's a brand new character being presented to the general public for the first time. Now, can you miss on that? Of course you can. But the likelihood is a lot higher that you're going to be okay because this character is brand new. It's okay, and we're just going to be like, awesome, that's the voice that is attached to Olaf. Now, they had a brilliant casting where the voice of, and I can't hear that actor in anything else other than, hey, that's Olaf. And that's the price, I guess, with some actors doing these animated movies. That's why a lot of actors are actually scared to do animation movies, especially high blockbuster animation movies, because then your voice just gets attached. I mean, I know Eddie Murphy from a lot, but if I couldn't see that damn freaking movie and think of his voice in the animated movie, I mean, you tell me, were you able to watch Coming to America and not hear, what is he, the donkey in Shrek? That's all I heard. No matter what, it's like, oh damn it, his voice. I enjoyed the movie, but anyways, this is not about review about that movie, but that's the drawback when you're an actor and you're doing animated movies to get typecast. These movies aren't really well paid. I mean, they're well paid for a normal voice actor that wants to keep working, in having work, right? Paying the bills, keeping your light on. You do these kind of movies, these animated movies. So they might have not had a lot to pick from, but they should have put a little bit more effort in those castings. Again, especially with superhero movies, you have to understand there's a certain thing that works and a certain thing that doesn't work. And we saw it with the live action MCU with Lex Luthor when they casted that young guy that was in the zombie movies and all those, those movies. The movies escape me, but you guys know who I'm talking about. The actor, when he came out and as Lex Luthor, and his voice was so high pitched in Batman v Superman, no one liked it. Everybody was like, what the hell is going on? If it was a young, and it wasn't because he was a young actor, if he was a young actor with a deeper voice, with more of a menacing voice, you would have completely bought hook, line, and sinker. But the voice has a lot to do with it because that's the way we see it in our minds. And I get that some directors and producers and studios don't really care what we think, but obviously you need to care if you want us to care about your project and have a successful franchise run, if you will, to have us keep on coming back for more. Because if right away the voice takes you off. Anyways, that's just my thoughts on this movie. Oh, my rating on this movie, I'll give it a D-. Honestly, I enjoyed the concept. I thought they had a good thing going, but there were just so many flaws that it just kept on taking me out of the movie. But the animation, brilliant. But yeah, for me, this movie was a D+. But anyways, that's just my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts on the movie. Did I miss something here? Was I not recognizing something here? Was there something hidden that maybe led me to give this rating so low? But anyways, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And like always, that's a wrap.